Hello, I'm Gary.
Hello, I'm Leon, the grandfather.
And we are Gary and...
The grandfather. You got that pause, did you? You got it?
Oh, you scared me again. You did that just the other week,
I
didn't
know,
you?
I love it. I just love it. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Actually I'm doing pretty good. But common sense. Do you ever think of common sense?
Well, I know some of us don't have it.
We don't have it. Honest to God, sometimes you really go crazy.
What do you mean, we don't have it? I said some of us don't have it.
Well, I have it.
Don't include
well,
me in
well,
that.
I hope you have it. I have it. I know you have it.
Well, I know I have it too.
Yeah, I have common sense, but I've made some mistakes in my life, and
Sure.
with common sense, to be honest, right? So tell me a story about common sense. I got a story for you.
All
Go
right.
ahead. You first.
All right, sure. Let me think about this. All right. Well, every day when I'm working, I go out for lunch with my colleagues, and we talk and just chat, whatever. We're regulars at a couple different places
Yeah.
because there's not a lot of options around where we work. So we went to this one shop. We're regulars there. It's a Cantonese restaurant.
Okay.
And for a spell, we'd always order the fried rice.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
like pork fried rice.
Yeah.
So,
You should give up pork, by the way. You should give up pork.
well, it was delicious.
Doesn't matter. Poor pigs.
Well, you could say that about poor rice as well.
But rice aren't sentient like pigs. That's another.
Well, that's a whole other.
That's a
that's
whole
a whole
other.
other
We won't
conversation.
even get into it
Right.
tonight.
So we ordered this pork fried rice.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, so well, actually, it wasn't even delicious. It's just
Delicious.
N-
Filling.
no. I would say it wasn't even filling. It was mediocrity at best.
Okay.
But because of the fact that that's the restaurant in town and it's a chain restaurant, that's the only reason they're there.
Okay.
Not even great.
Yeah. So common
Food.
sense.
So, anyways, my friend and I, we both order a fried rice, serving for one. He orders a like an onion omelet pancake thing, and I get a radish cake.
Okay.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
all Cantonese food.
Okay.
So they bring out his onion pancake, they bring out my radish cake,
Okay.
and then they bring out the two fried rices.
Yeah.
Sitting there eating the food. It's already, for two people, this is already enough
Food.
food for the two of us, maybe
Sure.
even three people.
Right. Right. Okay.
And we're eating it.
Yeah.
It's only about three different groups of people in this restaurant eating.
Right. Okay.
And then, next thing we know, we see this guy coming out, the same waiter who gave us our first fried rices.
Yeah.
He's holding another fried rice, and he says, "Okay, and excuse me, sirs, you guys got the fried rice?" And we just look at him, and we look at each other, and we're thinking, okay, we each have a side, we each have a full plate of fried rice. There's only two of us sitting here. There's only three groups of people in the restaurant. You just delivered us our fried rices earlier. What's going on? Since when would two people order three fried rices?
Yeah.
I just thought,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. No common sense.
Yeah.
So we say, "Oh, no, sir, sorry, that's not ours." And then the fried rice made the rounds, getting coughed on and sputtered on by every other table in the place before it made its way to the
Kitchen. Back to the kitchen.
back to the kitchen.
Yeah.
But I just thought, like, there's no thinking, no common sense. Why would two people want three fried rices? Just didn't make sense to me. Couldn't understand.
I saw this girl one day. There was water. Obviously, she's supposed to sweep the sidewalk, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And there's water right beside the sidewalk, and she's sweeping away,
Mm-hmm.
and she touches the broom by accident into the water. Okay. So then she proceeds to smear mud all over the sidewalk. You understand? Like she didn't stop, change brooms, nothing.
She just kept on going
Just
with
kept
the
on,
same broom.
kept on sweeping with the same broom, and the sidewalk was dirtier when she finished than when she began. Right? It's just insane. But common sense. Can I share a story? Another story with you that actually happened to me.
Yeah.
Always understand the food that you are ordering, especially in a foreign land. Okay?
Sure.
So I lived a couple of years in France when I was young.
Mm-hmm.
And I had not a lot of money. I had 10 francs a day. And I traveled with a group of kids, girls, whatever. And they were wealthy people, so they could afford restaurants. But I always was able to keep it down somehow.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that maybe a smaller portion, whatever. One day we're in this restaurant. Everything is 50 francs and up for the basic entree.
Oh.
We got a problem here. So I'm very embarrassed, and I'm scrambling, and I'm hungry, and I'm young, and I look down, and I see steak tartare, and I think, steak tartare. I know tartares, to ride the horses through the plains. Great. So 8 francs. Glass of wine, 2 francs. 10 francs. Fantastic. So I ordered this, and is that all you want, sir? Oh no, that's fine. I'm not hungry today. Blah blah blah. The food arrives. It's raw meat with a raw egg and some onions on top of this, and it's sitting there at my plate, and I'm just horrified, and I'm staring at this, and there's a girl sitting across from me, Emily. I always remember her name for whatever reason, Emily. And she looks at me and she said, "Give me that." And she takes it, and I think, my God, she's going to cook it somehow. I imagine she's going to take it back to the kitchen. There's been a mistake. She takes it, and she stirs it up, gives it back to me. So now I got raw hamburger in my head, mixed in with an egg and meat. Disgusting. So, very polite, I start along and, eating away. And then she goes, I always remember I had this turtleneck I was so poor that the turtleneck, I had to tie the turtleneck and put a pin in the back to look cool, right? So, I'm eating, and she's staring at me, and she said to me, "Do you like horse?" And I said, "Horses. My uncle has a lot of horses in Canada." So I eat a little more. "Do you like horse?" I said, "Horses, E-S, there's a horses." And she looks at me, she said, no, not horses. Horse, like you're eating. I said, "What? This is horse meat?" And the food, Gary, you appreciate the food was here. It was already here, and it went. I never forgot visceral feeling like I've never, and it wouldn't go up, and it wouldn't go down, right? So I stopped. Needless to say, I stopped eating my horse meat, drank my wine, and then I proceeded to be sick I think I was sick for 3 days. I had I kept thinking of Black Beauty. I was eating Black Beauty. Oh no, Leon, not you again. Yes, it is. Terrible story. So, common sense. Always understand the food that you're ordering, right? For sure, right? Terrible.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I've had the experience of being too proud to ask, where I was, and then didn't get off the bus. Yeah, all sorts of things in my life because I, no common sense. Just be a bit brave, eh? But people are funny. I mean, you see a lot of lack of common sense, and
You do. Yeah.
I mean, you would think that even in world leaders, it looks like there's no common sense, right?
Well, I think in terms of common sense, a lot of people are lacking it in general. And it comes back to that they don't stop and think about what they're doing.
Yeah.
Another example, at the school I work at, one day the school's maintenance men, they came in, and there was we had a light up there highlighting the exit, But this classroom has 2 doors.
Okay.
So there's 2 exit signs. But the one door for eternity, for some reason, they just locked it, put the teacher's desk there. They don't want people
Or using that
using
door.
it. I don't know why. For common sense reasons, it's silly because,
2 exits and all that.
well, the thing which is silly is the way they have the desk situated.
Yeah.
The ceiling fan cannot hit that desk, but the ceiling fan could hit the desk if the desk was put on the side with the other door.
Yeah, I understand.
So if they would have reversed the setup, they
Everything's fine.
everything's fine. But
Yeah.
of course, it has to be this way because that's the way they've done it for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
But that's not even the thing with the fan. That's not where the common sense bit comes in. These 2 maintenance men come in, put the ladder down, because one of the teachers actually said something about can we rearrange the room because I want the fan to hit me in the summer, and the manager said no, can't do it. Why? Because that's not how it's been done. So then these maintenance men come in, they put the ladder down, the one climbs up the ladder, climbs up, a pair of wire cutters, and he cuts the wire connecting the other exit sign light, cuts it right then and there. It's a live wire. Boom! You see sparks fly. There's little kids in the classroom during this whole thing. Not to mention, any risk of electrocution for the maintenance man himself. Cuts it, boom. And even now, to this day,
No
there
light.
are black marks
Wow.
from where that live wire was cut in a room full of children.
Jeez.
I think
Crazy.
there's
Crazy.
no common sense
No.
at all. If it were me and my manager said, okay, now you're going to climb up the ladder and cut the live wire, I'm going to say, wait a minute, no, I'm not. We're going to shut off the electricity.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
We bought a new house once,
Mm-hmm.
and it had 2 switches. So I turned the one switch off and reached up to change the wire,
Yeah.
and it was still live, and it blew me halfway across the room. And I remember going backwards, right, with electricity. But
Yeah.
kind of a funny story that we renovated once. We renovated an office here, right? And the electrician, he had literally hair that was sticking out like this. It looked like, it was just like a bad movie, like this sticking out like this. And I asked him to be polite, have you ever been shocked? Have you ever? And he goes, and he points to his hair. Honestly, like yes, look at the hair. The hair should be dead, eh? Yeah. But you see all sorts of examples of foolishness.
Well, yeah, there's another one. A previous place I used to work had a little yard, maybe the size of a football field, so it's not huge, but it's not small by any means. And the guy, he didn't want to pay for a lawnmower,
Yeah.
so
Weed eater.
every week he'd be out there just in his sandals with a weed eater, just hacking away at it. The boss be doing that. Speaking of weed eaters, I used to know a guy when I was 18,
Yeah.
a colleague of mine at my first summer job.
Yeah.
He used to start, weed whacking poison ivy, and he won't wear socks.
Oh.
And they'd always be complaining, oh, I got, poison ivy rash, and he'd be like, scratching his ankles. I'd say, well, why don't you put on some socks when you're doing it?
Common sense, though. I'll tell you a true story. When going to university, I grew up in a logging community, right? So going to university, my father, nepotism and all this for sure, but my father got me a job setting chokers, and that was the lowest job you could do. Tough work. We had to wear these special pants, these so-called snag pants. They're about this thick.
Yeah.
And people would refuse to wear them because they're just too heavy. You're out in the heat and the bugs and the dirt, and who's got time for these pants, right? But my parents insisted I wear these pants,
Yeah.
right? So I wore these pants. And then one time I'm in the so-called landing, which is an area they bring the logs in, and now I'm not in the field like I'm setting these chokers. Now I'm actually taking the power saw and I'm cutting the ends of the logs, right? And I got these blessed pants on, and they're long, very long saws, right? The saw jammed, Gary, and it went like up, down onto my leg.
Oh.
Would have cut my leg off if I hadn't been wearing these snag pants, because it grabbed it's interconnected fibers and it jams the saw. That's why it's called snag pants. It snags the saw. Would have cut my leg off, honestly. So I learned a lesson then and there, safety, you know, and I think that's what we often don't see with people wearing sneakers or sandals or, gosh, no protective gear, no protective eyewear, and you think to yourself, insane, you know, insane.
Well, I was helping I'm not gonna mention, you know, the relations to me, relations to somebody in my family, not relative, but somebody they knew.
Yeah.
You know, and I was. They asked me during my teenage years. They said, "Would you be interested in coming over, helping me?" You know, I forget what it was, put up a door or something. You know, they pay me. I said, "Okay, yeah, sure."
Yeah.
And this person was smart, you know, wealthy. They had a nice, I think it was a white baby grand, and they had a house, everything.
Lovely.
Nice house.
Lovely.
And I'll never forget, because there was something with the door, the way it was, that it was, something wasn't straight or whatever, so they had to saw a bit off of it, you know, off the top. But it was already on the hinges, you know, it's just when they went to close it, it wouldn't close.
Yeah.
So he even said to me, the guy says to me, well, he says, I know the proper way to do it is to take it down so we can put it on the table and measure it and saw it.
Yeah.
But he said, I really don't feel like taking that whole thing down after we've put it up.
So he's got the saw.
So he's got the saw, and he's just trying to
Like the saw, the rotary saw.
Yeah, he's like trying to run it across the top, just holding it there, and then he ends up cutting his finger.
Oh, of course.
Doesn't cut it off, but he ends up cutting his finger.
Jay.
We have to go to the emergency room.
Jay.
I don't even have my driver's license at that point.
Yeah.
So
You got to drive the car.
So I can't drive the car. He can't drive the car. So we probably have to wait for his wife or my dad or somebody to take to take him into the emergency room. And I'm going with, of course. And it was all because of sloppiness and not taking the extra 5 minutes to, you know, do it the right way. You know, again, common sense out the window in terms of safety.
You probably know, Gary, a little bit about logging. They got these booms, so they take a log, they drill 2 holes in the end, and they take a chain, they add another log, and then they get a boom, and the logs actually float in the water. That they usually bundle them up, and they float them there, and they load them on an enormous barge, and they take it to the mill, right?
Yeah.
So but you have to drill out those holes. There's an auger. It's about this long. And it's enormous, and it goes in, makes a hole into that log. This fellow who was working for my father, if you can believe such a thing, he drills the auger in, and it gets jammed. It gets jammed, so he can't pull it out. So he grabs onto it and turns the auger on. Are you with me?
I am with you. Yes.
He reverses it. And he turns the auger on. Well, what do you think it did? It grabbed his shirt, and then it grabbed his hand, and it just spun the hand into the auger.
Yeah, he lost his hand?
So he didn't lose his hand, but I don't actually know. But they had to fly him to a very long way, an emergency ambulance. But he'd broken every bone in his hand all the way down. And did they sever the hand? I don't really know, but I mean, you listen to this and you go, I mean, there is stupid and there's really stupid and there's bone dead stupid. And this was I mean,
Yeah.
but there must be a lot of industrial accidents that occur this way. Must be. You know, you see things like this, right? You know.
Well, at the place I'm working now, there's a little fish pond, and there's a patio area out there, and it used to be like a wooden, like decking area, yeah. But it kept getting warped because whoever set it up, they didn't, set it properly, and over the years, it just warped, and then the maintenance men again they repaired, and then again a few months later warped and the whole thing. So they took it out, laid down tiles, whatever, and they extended out the patio area, and they decided to put down some concrete before putting down the tiles.
Yeah.
But the one day I'm coming back from lunch, and I see the owner of this school I'm working at. He's standing out there overseeing the maintenance work. These are professional people they hired, so-called professionals. And then they're laying down some concrete, and there's some excess. So I see him with his bare hands, like just taking it and like swishing it into the fish pond with his bare hands. And I'm thinking, well, would you use your bare hands and start swishing concrete into the fish pond with your bare hands?
Never.
And he was doing that like there's no tomorrow, just doing it. And then I guess he decided, okay, that's enough. He got it to the way he liked it. He cleaned up and everything. A few days later, I'm up, on the second floor of this building, and I could see with this pond and thing, I could see it crystal clear. I look down, I see one of the resident turtles is just floating around, belly up. It died, I guess, from the concrete poisoning. And who knows any side effects that the owner had from just swishing the concrete in with his bare hands.
Yeah.
Just
Foolishness.
foolish. Yeah.
Just foolish.
Foolish. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the one that is really the most extraordinary, I think, is, if I may, common sense, smoking. Now, I was a smoker for 20 years, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I love smoking. Smoking's a great pastime. Anyone who tells you that smoking is horrible is just not true. 3 things happen with smoking. A, immediately you have friends because you can share things. B, you have break time, and C, it gives you that dopamine rush of nicotine, right?
Sure.
But common sense tells you at 30, 35 years old, you gotta stop, because the body changes, and you'll find that for yourself, Gary. You'll probably already. The body changes, and the body's not that kind of virile and strong. It's still strong and virile, but it's telling you, look, you gotta cut out some things here. You gotta cut out on the alcohol, or diminish that. You gotta cut out on the smoking. You gotta exercise more. You gotta eat well. You gotta sleep well. The days of youth are over.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta be a man. But most people don't. Most people continue. And by the time you're 45, 50 years old, the smoke is irreparable. You cannot cure your lungs. I've had my lungs tested, for instance. I'm 100%. That's because I quit at the right time, and of course I breathe deeply with my yoga and I exercise, all those things.
Mm-hmm.
That's an example to me of common sense that I just don't get. And I mean, smoking's a great habit. I can understand smoking and being cool and
sure
blowing smoke.
Yeah.
But like eventually you gotta put away childish toys, right?
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, that's your short story. With the guy with the car, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right? I mean, you eventually you gotta grow up.
You just gotta you grow up. Yeah.
Grow up.
Well, yeah, that's right.
And if you don't grow up, fatal things happen. Gary's just published a book, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, great.
I don't know, but
great book. What's the name of the book?
Steve Town Dealings.
Steve Town Dealings. Gonna be a bestseller. Gonna be on the New York Times bestseller list.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, we wish him well. Anyhow, I think it's that time.
Yeah, I think you're right. Just like you were saying, common sense.
Yeah.
Need to. Your body's changing. Get some
Yeah.
more sleep.
Yeah.
It is getting late here,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I'll see you. Well,
I just wanted to just leave you with one thought, Gary.
sure.
You know, common sense should tell you to learn to love yourself. Love your body, love your mind, nurture yourself. Should tell you.
Oh, I
Right.
agree with you.
Because
exactly.
we are all such special human beings. But most of us don't take the challenge, right?
For sure.
You know, and that's our hope, isn't it? People can just learn to think, right?
That's exactly right.
Just think.
That's
Just
exactly right.
think. Just gosh. So here's mine.
Okay. Well, I think the grandfather, he sums it up very well when he says that, and I agree. Just love yourselves, accept yourselves for who you are.
Absolutely.
Always strive to try to make yourselves better.
Yeah. And why not?
And
And
why
why
not?
not?
Why not? Because
Gosh.
everyone can do it,
Absolutely.
for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Well, Gary out.
The grandfather out. Bye bye.
Bye bye.